Hey everybody, it's your host Cyber Gaming Studios and welcome back to another video. I don't have my mic input for this video. I'm using my PlayStation camera to talk to you guys. But in this video, we're going to be talking about third-party controllers. And if you're planning to get a third-party controller, which one should I recommend to you? And which ones you should get indefinitely to get and use for your console. Now this can this can go in both sides for Xbox and as well for PlayStation, but only right now this video is only entitled to the PS4. So in this video, before we get this video started, if you guys do enjoy today's video, be sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember all the links to whatever I'm going to be saying in this video is in the description, so you guys can definitely go ahead and check them out and get yourself one as well. So let's get started. So there have been a lot of third-party controllers out in the market for the PS4 and Xbox market. Now since we're only talking about PS4, I did only mention Xbox because there are some Xbox, and this does involve around an Xbox kind of sort of design. So yeah, so that pretty much solves all your questions for the first part. The second part is that the main part is that even though there are multiple of third-party controllers, there are many controllers that fail to do what you want them to do, such as from design, how they feel, what the core mechanics, if they work correctly, if they feel correctly, or if they're just plain shit. And majority of third-party controllers are usually led to shit, and some reviewers actually leave certain things under the dust and not tell you the real basics. In this video, I'm going to be telling you guys every single detail of what I think about this third-party controller. And in this video, we're going to be doing a review of my personal opinion for using this controller for the past week. Is the Hori Onyx PS4 controller for the PlayStation 4. Now, this controller is completely different from the original controller that originally came and launched with the PS4 since its debut. Now, this controller is completely different from this controller, as we all can see. I'm going to show you guys what the original PS4 looks like, and you pretty much know what the original PS4 looks like. I'm just going to show, just in case, for those who are looking to buy a PS4 and are not interested in the original controller as much. So this is what the first party controller looks like, and this is what the original controller looks like. It has the prongs where you can put external keyboards, and as your headphones, you have the light bar, and you have a USB on the bottom. You have all the standard buttons that you usually need to. Now the difference between this controller and this controller, this is a third-party controller, and this is the first-party controller. And if you don't know what a first-party controller is, it's basically the first-party controller is from the manufacturer who manufactured the PlayStation 4. It's always going to be first-party. The third-party are from licensed manufacturers who develop certain things for a manufacturer's product that other people can purchase separately from PlayStation or whatever you want to buy the peripheral for. So what about the Hori Onyx? And I'm going to explain to you guys the pros, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the cons of this controller. So if you're looking to get this controller, as I said, the links will be in the description. So the Hori Onyx, what is it all about, and why am I making a review? Now, I've been using this controller for about a week now, and I've been enjoying the controller ever since I've gotten it. It's a wonderful controller. It's just a wonderful controller. So we're going to talk about the pros first of this controller, and a lot of people are going to probably disagree. Everyone has the right to disagree, whether if they think it's a good controller or not. I'm not judging anybody. We are all friends here, and I just wanted to put my opinion out there of my own review of the Onyx controller. So everyone has opinions of this controller, especially if they own one or they've owned one in the past. So take mine with just a little passion, and hopefully this can make you decide on whether to buy one or not. So this controller can range between the ranges of $50 to $70. The link in the description takes you to one that hopefully is still in stock. If you watch this video and it has been out of stock, I do apologize for that. You can wait. You can actually have sign up for an email to get a notification whenever it gets in stock, and it pretty much it's a really great deal. This is actually for $50.99, and actually this is the cheapest one. This is actually, it doesn't really matter because they're all the same, and they're not going to really change any of the prices. If you buy one from eBay, you can range up to $60 to $70, and that's not worth your money. Don't spend $70 on a controller that you can get cheaper and for less on a more valuable website. So let's talk about the pros. The pros of this controller is that it feels really good. The well-built design of it, it looks very, very nice. I love how the color of the controller is jet black. It's almost like almost like the PS4, and it looks like almost similar to the matte of the original PS4 controller, just a little bit more shinier and more well built. The build is is really, really good. If you're looking for a controller that has really good quality, the buttons of all the entire controller feels really great. There are pros with some of there are some cons with some of the buttons, which I will explain later in this video. But we're only going to be talking about right now are the pros. The second pro is that even though the buttons feel really, really great, the build quality and how it feels really great. So if you're coming from Xbox, coming onto PS4, or you're just basically had a PS4 and an Xbox, but you play Xbox more, but you also want to play with your friends who are on PS4, and you're looking for a kind of an Xbox controller experience where you want to play PS4, but you're not used to the original layout of the PlayStation controller. And it's kind of weird because when you have the original PlayStation controller in your hand and you're coming from Xbox, it may feel really comfortable and more comfortable than the original Xbox controller, but the Hori Onyx actually matches the same comfortability as the original PlayStation 4 controller. It may seem, kind of too good to be true, but trust me, it's way too good to be true. And this feels really comfortable in my hand, same thing as this one. But when you just go back, you just feel a bit more comfortable with this one. But trust me, when you go with this controller, you'll never want to go back. And that's something that I've been shocked at myself, because I usually would have a decisive decision whether which one I would use, and I chose the Onyx controller more than this controller. And I'll explain to you why later in this video why I chose this controller more than this video. But right now we're gonna start that. We're gonna delay it. The other pro of this controller is that it is wireless. It doesn't require you to have a USB dongle to put in your PS4 USB and wasting your space for other things. And it just works as like if you had the original controller. You can just charge it and easily, connect it to Bluetooth via Bluetooth, and it will work. It's like a two-step thing, and it's pretty much simple as that. The only thing that I feel that this controller that could be a little bit more better is even though that the buttons look really great, I'm just hoping that if they're ever going to release a newer model, they can fix some of the issues that the cons are going to have. But beyond the pros, you have a great built controller, a well fit controller for any kind of hands, most majority for big hands too, and it feels like a legitimate Xbox One controller. It's just amazing. You have the best feature that I like is the analog sticks are not like the original PlayStation controllers. That's one of the pros. They're more split like the Xbox 360 layout or Xbox One layout, and they feel really great. They feel way more better than they feel way more well built than the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4's analog sticks, because I had Xbox analog sticks on my PS4 controller at some point, and my old controller, not this controller, and the rubber sticks wore out within 2 months, and I'm like, really? Damn, the Xbox 360, Xbox One controllers must have been terrible, and I think that's why a lot of people hated that for. But other than that, I can't really judge because I never owned an Xbox One. So yeah, so it's really well built, and also it's really well built. When you press the buttons for the X, W, triangle, and circle, they feel like if they were really well built. There is just something that you always want to constantly press, even if you're not having a PS4 controller on or just console on. You just want to keep pressing them. When you press the L3 and R3 buttons, they feel great. They have a great click. They have a very fast responsive time, and it's just amazing. I don't see any delay on it. So this controller is also for another pro, because I don't want to forget that this controller has a very, very well and smart response time. If you're looking to play Call of Duty, buy this controller. You're not going to regret it. I play Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and I'm accurate majority of the time, but I'll have a gameplay at the end of this video. You guys can definitely check out at the end. It's like a 4-minute clip. And I've been accurate sometimes, but I've been getting demolished by a shotgun dude. So I was just terrible at that game. That game was not my game. I was just having fun. I was just really having fun, and it's really old school Call of Duty. So yeah. So this controller is very responsive when you play a game. So if you're looking for a controller that's very responsive, no latency, no problems, then this is for you. But there are cons to this controller, which it doesn't bother me as much as now as it used to in the beginning. But the pro is that they do love that they added the light in the front instead of like the normal traditional way in the back. I think it saves a lot of room for other things they can do for batteries and stuff like that. But I wish it was here, but it doesn't really bother me as much. But this will only bother you if you're using the PlayStation camera and you need the light. So the con about that is that you're gonna have to hold the controller like this towards the camera to have that light show to the camera and see it. And trust me, this is a very small light than compared to what you see on the original PS4 controller. So I highly doubt that you would be using this for the playroom or something that requires the light, because you're gonna be like this, I'm trying to play a game. Yeah, do this. No, nobody's gonna do this. I wouldn't fucking do that. I would use my original controller if it needed that feature, but I wouldn't be using this. Because if a game requires you to have that light, then yeah, it's pretty much gonna be used like this. I know Until Dawn you're gonna need this controller and this controller, just because the camera needs to see this. I'm not sure if the camera uses this. I have no idea, but on Until Dawn, but I'm pretty much sure there are some games that require light, and I know the Playroom needs that as well. So yeah, that's the only con about this. It's not on this side, but it's on this side. But this is a really unique feature. The other con about this controller is that if you're looking to get this controller for, say, recording a video, or just wanting to talk into a video, or listen to music without having to disturbing anybody around you, well, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say this, but it does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack, neither an external accessory jack for like external third-party keyboards, etc., etc. It does not have that feature, and I can show you guys right now. There is no headphone jack. As you can see, the original PS4 controller has the jacks that you usually use to make a video. But if you're a person who just want to make gameplays without talking, and you just don't care about talking at all, you want to keep yourself anonymous, definitely buy this controller, test it out, and you'll trust me, you will not go back to your original controller after you use this. I just recommend you guys, if you're going to be planning to make any videos that makes you talk, wanting to listen to music privately, keep this controller. Don't throw this controller away, because it's going to be useful in some situations when you make a video, or when you listen to music privately, or whenever you're talking to your friends when you're not using your PlayStation camera. The thing is that with the Onyx controller is that the only useful thing that I think that without the headphone jack feature is that if you have a PlayStation camera, you can talk with your friends using a PlayStation camera, and you don't have to worry about headphone jacks at all. The only problem that can be effective, that it can affect your life and gaming experience, is that other players hearing your TV volume. And I know it pretty much sucks, but you can adjust that if you want to. But it's up to you. It's up to you how you want to play your games and how your friends think about you doing that in that way. I've been doing it for years. I've been doing it for a while. So, and it's just because my PC was having some issues. It's regular issues. So that's one of the cons of this controller. The next con for this controller, if you're looking for like a real, good feel button press like the original PlayStation controller, like how you see the spring, how it presses all the way down and there's no problem, you're going to experience a bit of a downfall with this controller. And I mean, it doesn't really bother me. It bothered me at first, which is going to mostly do with everybody. It's going to bother you at first because you're so used to the controller, and it's going to take you time. It took me a couple days to get used to it, but once I got used after a couple of days, I pretty much got used to the controller, and I really enjoy this controller. It's up to you if you want to be dedicated and use this controller and use it as your daily controller. But it's up to you either if you want to use it as your daily controller and you're really dedicated of getting used to this controller, which I'm really dedicated using this controller. It's a challenge for me, but nothing more than less. So pretty much, yeah. So I'll show you guys. If I actually go and press this button, you can see that there is no. As you can see, it's not like the original. It's not like the original PlayStation controller where you can just press this a little bit. You see the difference? How it feels differently from the original PlayStation controller. It feels different, but it pretty much is a really good controller. So don't let this stop you from buying this. It's a really good controller. Once you get used to it, it feels sturdy, it feels well built, and it feels like you're playing an Xbox, but you're really not. It's just fucking amazing. The top buttons are perfectly fine. They work perfectly fine as they should. You don't hear a click and click, but you'll hear them press down as normal, and they feel really good. They feel like the original R1 buttons on their controller, and they feel really amazing. So the other con for this controller with the buttons that I talked about earlier was the touchpad. The touchpad, everything works as normal. Like if you're playing PS Now or something like that and required you to use the touchpad for start and select, they still do the same thing on here. So you're not missing out any features. The only thing that for me is a downfall is that when you press the button doesn't do a click sound like this. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It doesn't do a click sound like this. It feels like if you're trying to press a pad that small and it's like, and you don't hear a click. You'll hear a little tiny click, but you won't hear like a really decent click. But it shouldn't bother you from using this controller, even if you use the touchpad a lot. The touchpad works perfectly fine. It works great, and it's very highly responsive, and is very cool. The only thing I feel that a lot of you guys need to understand that this controller is very sensitive. This is for like people who like sensitive controllers. Like if you want something sensitive and fast, this is a controller for you. I mean, I don't personally perceive it as like an OP kind of thing, but the R2 and L2 buttons are very sensitive. So you can press them lightly, and they'll make your character do something you may not want. So you got to be careful when you do that. That's the only problem, but you'll get used to it and know how to control it. The other con for this controller is that if you're used to this controller of how it feels, and you're used to playing Call of Duty with these buttons instead, and you have them flipped, when you play certain games that you usually flip the controllers, it's going to be kind of difficult for you. Because when you use this controller and you have the layout up here instead of down here, your fingers are going to start to cramp over time. Not immediately, but you'll notice them, and they'll start to cramp. They'll hurt, and you can't play that. So the only way I can recommend you guys which is a big deal for me, because I usually play with COD like these, but I'm being forced to use these, which is not a problem. It's going to be more comfortable having your bottom index fingers here instead of up here. If you're planning to have it like this, it's going to be a little bit difficult because you sometimes that even if you're not paying attention, you might press the R2 accidentally and screw up, and then you're going to blame the controller for the issue, but it's not the controller's fault. It's more of your fault because you're not understanding how to train yourself for this controller. And that's one of the downfalls. The major downfalls that I believe as well for this controller, beyond the pros and other cons that I've discussed, is battery life. Battery life for this controller is not that great. It only lasts you about, for constant use, 3 to 4 hours. Maybe that's even more or less. And the battery life isn't great, but it's still durable. It's still doable, and it's decent enough. It's decent enough. It's not like gonna last a long time, like a whole entire day, like the original PS4 controller. But it's gonna last you about half a day or less, depending on how much you use it and how much extensively you use the buttons and stuff, and may determine when you need to charge it. So It could be less than a half a day, but it shouldn't be of a bit of a problem unless you're like, if you're next to your PS4 console, which I am. I wouldn't have to worry because I just plug in my USB and then continue playing without no problems. You see, it does take a USB Type B USB charger. So the problem is that when you order this controller, make sure that you have your own USB cord, because they do not ship a USB with this controller. That's what they even said in the booklet. They don't ship with, and as well on the box art, that you don't receive a USB cable. Use your own. It doesn't matter if it's one. It doesn't matter which one you use, as long as it's a USB controller. You can use the one that came with your PS4. You can use any kind of one. It doesn't matter, as long as it fits in the Type C USB port back here. You'll be fine. The charging for this is really great. I love how it fast charges, but the problem is the decreasing of charging. That is a bit of a problem. It shouldn't be affecting you very much, but it's pretty much one of the major issues that a lot of people are going to probably have, and that shouldn't be bothering you and to prevent you from getting this controller. But that's up to you. That's up to you what you want to decide. But this is an amazing controller. I really love it. I love everything about it. Besides the cons, it's a great controller, and only 2%. That's I said. The cons are just 2%. That's 2%. 98% of this controller is positive. There's only 2% of this controller are just the cons and the things that are bad about this controller, that a lot of people, are gonna probably say something else different. Everyone has opinions, and I love everyone's opinions. But if you're looking for a third-party controller and you're looking to invest into a controller to make it last long, even with its cons, try the Hori Onyx controller. I'll have a link in the description. You guys can definitely check out. And you guys can definitely check it out there. I had to record this earlier because I tried recording this the first time, and when I finished, I realized my mic was muted. Yep, I was recording this without my mic, and I had to do it all over again. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks for me. I wasn't upset. I was laughing because I did it was stupid. I don't know what I was doing, but this is a pretty much great controller, guys. I highly recommend it, and the only reason why I got this controller is because of the L3 button controller on this controller was fucking up, and I couldn't barely run. It was canceling my sprint. And the problem is, why I don't use the controller now, even after I made a video of fixing it, is because I'm too addicted to this controller. And the faster response time than this controller, and the less bugs that this controller has, we could just throw it away and not use it ever again. I use this for my videos. Don't get me wrong. I use this for my videos whenever I need to talk, because I'm not going to use my camera. But whenever I'm not going to use my camera and I use just my regular my camera, then I just won't use it. But pretty much, yeah. Really? Yeah. So if you guys are looking for to get this controller, I highly recommend it. It's something that you're never gonna regret. If you guys do want more information or more persuading of getting this controller, in the link in the description, it's going to take you to the official page where you guys can get, not the official page, but it's called shop4megastore.com, and you'll have all the links in the description anyways. And they'll still take you to the controller you can buy for about $50.99. It's very cheap. It's better than paying $60, $60, or $70 for it. So you get a good price on it. It's a top selling item, so I don't know how much they are. They don't tell us as much. But it's a top seller, and you guys want to get yourself one before it's too late. And I wanted you guys to know on some experience that I had no tracking number when they shipped this controller. They'll give you some information saying it was dispatched, but once they say dispatched, all you have to do is wait. It may take a week, it may take a few days. It all depends on what you pay for. You can pay about a shipping fee, where it could be, instead of 6 to 12 days, it could be probably 6 to 7 days. It all can vary depending on what you paid for, and yeah. But pretty much, if you want more persuading of buying this controller, there are two people that have reviewed this controller on there, and they're really 5-star positivity with some of the downsides, and it's pretty much worth your money. Other than that, that's pretty much what I have. You guys can check that link out in the description. See those reviews. I try to post my review myself personally, but I couldn't. It kept taking me to some kind of page saying that page not found. I'm like, what? So I don't know what I'm gonna do on that one. So I'll try to keep making a review on it, but this is my review since I can't make a review on there. So I'll have another video later up today, showing you guys on how to install the cable to if you need to replace your Bluetooth / Wi-Fi antenna if something's broken. You're gonna see mine. When you see mine, it's gonna be terrible. Like damn, what the hell did you do to your PS4? And trust me, I did a lot of fix to my PS4. My PS4 went through hell thick and thin, and I'm starting to repair it now. I had a new cover, and I needed to replace the bottom cover, and I just got a new cable. So I'm bringing it back to SHAREfactory. It was the way it came when I first bought it. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry for this video being too long. But if you guys do want to stick around, you guys can see. If you guys stick around this far, stick around and show you guys how responsive this controller is. Just remember, this gameplay that I'm going to show you of Advanced Warfare is not my best games. I jumped on with this controller, and I'm not used to this controller with the R2 and L2, so I'm still kind of noobish with it. So I'm still learning how to do it, and you'll see me that I'll have some many accurate shots and kills, but you'll still see me die by a guy with a shotty, and that's the worst thing that happened. Getting shotty. We did lose the game. But that wasn't the point of the video. It was the point of the video of how accurate and responsive this controller is. But other than that, pretty much, I forgot to mention of the cons of the controller that you do have hiccups with this controller. This meaning that if you're close to a router and your router is next to you, I recommend you to, if you want to fix the little, moving side to side and sometimes acting stupid kind of thing, to bring it back to 2%, which can be like 3% of bad, but it's not that much bad. Making sure your router is far away from your console and you as possible, even if it's in another room and you're in like an opposite room of your house. I recommend you guys doing that. This is good. This is running like 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So since most wireless devices has 2.4 gigahertz wireless, it can interfere with the frequency for this between your PS4 and the controller. So if you ever had that problem, try moving your router somewhere far away, and it will most likely fix your issue with the connectivity. Other than that, it's pretty much a good controller, and you shouldn't have no issues with it. You'll get hiccups here and there, but once in a while, but it shouldn't be a problem. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to hit that notifications bell icon so you guys don't miss any notifications. And I will see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of the gameplay, and I will see you guys in the next video when I do the Bluetooth, how to replay your Bluetooth on your PS4. Peace. Bye.
UAV online. Mission failed. Irons is not going to like this.